He believes responsible nations must not shrink from scrutiny of their human rights record. Rather, they should acknowledge it with the intent to improve it, and also push and lift up and shine a light on other countries that need to do better. And that is the role we're playing here from the United States.
Okay, so Secretary of State Antony Blinken is inviting none other than the UN to investigate racism and human rights in the U.S. Really? I hope it's the Human Rights Commission, which is run by a bunch of dictatorial, anti-democratic, freedom-hating countries. But let's talk about this. Joining us now, Liz Peek, Fox News contributor, Monica Crowley, former Assistant Treasury Secretary. So I know, Liz Peek, you read this, your head exploded, my head exploded. You know, it's so bad. They did so good today, Liz, in correcting what they missed yesterday on bashing Cuban communism and communism in general. They did so good. And then they come in with this. So I guess my proposal would be, why don't you invite the UN? I mean, who cares about the UN? But if you're going to do that, invite them to Havana and check out what they're doing down there in terms of freedom and the economy or the lack thereof. What about that?
You know, Larry, that's a terrific idea, which will never happen. The Human Rights Council of the United Nations is what Nikki Haley called a cesspool of bias. It's also a cesspool of hostility towards the United States. I think it is beyond offensive that Antony Blinken thinks that this is the organization that should be invited to the United States to weigh in on our human rights record here and our racism issues and so forth. He is offering to the world that hates us an unbelievable propaganda victory. And, you know, we have seen on issue after issue, on climate change, on tax policy, now on this, that somehow Antony Blinken and Joe Biden feel that the opinion of the United Nations and other multilateral organizations is much more important and valuable than the opinion of our own country. They don't believe in Trump's America first. And boy, is this a good indication of that.
You know, Monica, my saintly wife, Judy, always says when she hears crazy things, she says, well, what was he thinking? Okay, and that, by the way, that standard can apply to many things, far beyond foreign policy. But in this particular case, with this whole Cuban situation developing, I have to ask, what was Blinken thinking? Because he's supposed to be a pretty good guy. I know a lot of people on our team that like him and so forth. What was he thinking? Why deflect attention from the collapse or the impending collapse or maybe collapse of communism in this hemisphere, which is really what we want?
Yes, and we've been waiting for this moment in Cuba for over 60 years, Larry. Look, the United Nations Human Rights Council, you know who sits on it today? Cuba, Russia, and China, among 12 other member nations, okay? Right now, those regimes are oppressing and killing their own people. And yet, this administration has very little, if anything, to say or do about that. And on the other hand, they're inviting the United Nations in to come and sit in judgment of the United States, the fairest and freest and most transparent nation on the face of the earth, which, by the way, is the greatest nation in history in terms of self-correction. But to answer your question, Larry, what are they thinking? We have a government now that is dominated by the leftists. Most of them are, in fact, socialists. So there is some sympathy with a lot of these regimes which they refuse to condemn. But keep in mind that because of slavery and other things, in their mind, the United States is permanently morally compromised and therefore is not worthy of global leadership,
right.
Has to pay a permanent and perpetual penance. And that's why they bring in these international organizations to sit in judgment of us.
Well,
it's outrageous.
Thing is, Liz, I give you the last word on this, but it just, what was he thinking? Instead of giving them an opening to practice this critical race theory, which is garbage, as Monica has just said, and as you've just said. I mean, it's just garbage. It's a complete misreading of American history. We have an opening here to slam communism in our hemisphere, and particularly Cuba. We have a great opening because the thing looks like it's falling apart. You know, Reagan would be proud. This is the kind of thing, you know, it's like the dock workers in Poland in the early 1980s. It looked like if this thing was falling apart. So I just get, what possible motive could Blinken have for going forward with this?
Again, I think they just have this mindset that that Donald Trump took us out of this multilateral, multinational kind of decision making, and they are desperate to put us back. I mean, I think it's insane, honestly. And the same thing applies to our policy with Iran, with Russia, with China. We can't act alone, apparently, Larry. And in terms of acting out against our enemies, we are not apparently capable of doing that on our own. We have to have all the world come together with us. I mean, honestly, if Joe Biden were in the position of Ronald Reagan, it would be, Mr. Gorbachev, repair that wall. I mean, there's no way that they would be, you know, standing up for democracy. I mean, where is that? This is a ridiculous situation, and it's, as I say, it's beyond offensive. And I think this is not going to work. Americans are not enamored of the United Nations. They're not enamored of seeing America last.
That's the thing. Monica, give you the last word, 8 seconds. Who cares what the UN says? Who cares what the UN says?
Well, apparently President Biden and his Secretary of State care what the United Nations has to say. You know, they've got a long track record, Larry, of championing the world's worst tyrants, dictatorships, and terrorists while attacking beacons of freedom and human rights like the United States and Israel. And the fact that this administration is engaging in this moral equivalence is disturbing and dangerous.
Yeah. You know, the UN would make great condos over there on the East River. Monica Crowley, Liz Peek, you're both fabulous. Thank you very much.
Amen.